Welcome to another video on COP26. In this video, we are going to talk about COP26 goals. In our last video, we introduced COP26 and what it is and what it aims to achieve. So today we are going to talk about the goals of this Conference of Parties 26, which will be held in United Kingdom, Glasgow, starting November 1st to 12th in the year of 2021. COP stands for Conference of Parties. It is a United Nations climate change conference which is held every year. So COP stands for Conference of Parties, and 26 is the 26th such meeting. It has taken place since 1994. So the goals of COP26 can be summarized into four: mitigation, adaptation, and finance and collaboration. Starting with the first goal, that is to secure global net zero by year 2050 or by middle of this century, and keeping 1.5 degrees within reach. You have been following the debate. You may have noticed that temperatures have been rising and they will keep on rising, and this rise in temperatures will bring more damages, more catastrophic flooding, bushfires, extreme weather conditions, destruction of species, among other effects. Still, progress has been made in recent years as far as bending the curve in terms of temperature closer to 2 degrees is concerned, but science is showing that much more need to be done to keep these temperatures at 1.5 degrees. For us to get to that point, we need to cut emissions by half in the next 10 years if we are to reach zero carbon emission by 2050. As part of Paris Agreement, every country was supposed to communicate their emission reduction target. Paris Agreement is very important to COP26 because it is set out what countries should do as far as reduction of the emission is concerned. Out of Paris Agreement, countries are required to outline how they will meet their part of bargain to ensure that they cut on emission and tackle climate change impacts. Out of this agreement, each country which is a member of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, produced an NDC outlining these contributions and how they are going to be achieved. Contribution is a form of commitments or pledges that country made as far as reduction of emissions is concerned. So each country was supposed to come up with its own commitment, national commitment, on what they plan to do in the next 5 years to cut carbon or greenhouse gas emission. So Paris Agreement also says that these need to be updated every 5 years. So given that the first NDCs or nationally determined contributions were drafted in 2016, 2020 is when these updates are supposed to be done, and these countries are supposed to do that before COP26. So different countries have presented their NDCs, updated NDCs, some very ambitious, others been described as less ambitious. And some of these countries are big polluters. They have presented NDCs which of the commitments which some view as less ambitious. Talk of Australia, Russia, South Korea, Japan, among others. They have not shown full commitments to Paris Agreement as far as their NDCs are concerned. So this conference is important because it's going to take stock of what countries have done, or what they have said they will do as far as cutting emissions is concerned and reaching net zero is concerned. So 2020 marked the year when the 5 years first cycle ended. So this means that countries are expected to update, and we have said that they have done that. They have updated, and this conference will take stock of what they have done. So COP26 calls on countries to update their NDCs so that they are in line with holding the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. It is important that large emitters or large polluters take the lead. For some, they are doing this. For others, they are lagging behind as far as that role is concerned. So countries need to come forward with ambitious 2030 emissions reduction targets, and they should align them with net zero by the middle of this century. To deliver on these targets, countries will need to accelerate phase out of coal and fossil fuels. They also need to curtail deforestation. They also need to speed up the switch to electric vehicles and also encourage investment in renewables. Most countries have done that, some still have not done. So this conference will take stock of that and encourage countries to deliver on the promises that they have made as far as their nationally determined contributions or NDCs are concerned. The second goal is on adaptation. As we know, climate change is occurring, and it will continue to change even as we reduce emission, and it's going to have devastating effects. We also know that some areas of the world are affected differently. There are those which are affected heavily, and there are those which require assistance for them to be able to build resilience. So the race to resilience will be built on the success of the race to zero. COP26 needs to emphasize on the need for the countries to come together and enable and even encourage countries which are affected by climate change to protect and restore their ecosystems, to build resilience, have strong warning systems, and avoid loss of lives and property. People across the world need to come together and help these countries, either in terms of finances and otherwise. We know that most vulnerable countries are at great risk, and they have done little to contribute to climate change. The big polluters are found in the north, and these countries which are affected most are found in the south. So there's a need, COP26 need to bring this forthright and ensure that countries are helped to adapt to climate change. Goal number 3 is on finance. For us to be able to achieve mitigation measures and adaptation measures that have been set in goal 1 and 2, there is need to avail resources. Paris Agreement required that the big polluters or the developed countries mobilize at least 100 billion US dollars every year starting year 2020, and this money is supposed to, or these resources are supposed to help in supporting developing countries in mitigation and adaptation to climate change. This is not enough. More money is supposed to come from the private sectors. So there's supposed to be that collaboration between the government and the private actors. International financial institutions must play their part, and there is need for them to work together in unleashing the money that is required from both private sector and public sectors. Solidarity in the face of climate crisis starts with developed countries, where they are supposed to fulfill their promises to help the vulnerable communities and to mitigate the effects that climate change will have. So this is one of the greatest challenges as far as Paris Agreement is concerned. Some countries have pledged, but some of these remains as pledges. So more is required as far as mobilization of funds is concerned. So COP26 has that responsibility of ensuring that countries commit funds to help the countries which are affected most in terms of climate change. Goal number 4 is on collaboration, where different entities are supposed to work together. The challenges that are posed by climate change can only be tackled if all parties or all players work together. Governments should work together. Government or public sector should work together with private sectors and non-state actors, other non-state actors. So this collaboration is required. One, there must be finalization of a Paris rule book, which is details rules on how Paris Agreement will be operationalized. COP26 should deliver that. There's also a need to accelerate the action to tackle climate crisis through collaboration between governments, businesses, and civil society. So this conference should be able to achieve that and encourage countries, encourage governments, encourage collaboration between government, business society, and civil society, so for the need to tackle climate change. So those 4 goals: mitigation, adaptation, finance, and collaboration. This is what COP26 aims at achieving, and these are very critical areas, and that's why there is calls for that this conference should be in person. So there is a great justification also on why this conference needs to be in person, despite that the fact that we have COVID-19 should be in person, because for this to be achieved, people need to talk to each other. Hard questions need to be asked. Countries need to be persuaded to make ambitious targets as far as NDCs are concerned. And this will mainly happen if this conference is held in person. So those are the 4 goals of COP26. In our next video, we are going to talk about other aspects of this conference and what it requires to achieve. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that whenever we upload a new video, you're notified. Like the video and also comment, and also you can tell us which other videos you'd like us to do. Thank you.